Okay. So, welcome to day 8 of the Arise series, where we're elevating our mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month. This month of May, listen, y'all, we are not coming to play. We are not going to continue to allow ourselves to live below the means that God has set for us. So, we are using Proverbs 31 to continue the conversation about elevating our mindsets and our mental health. And so let's get right into it. So the verse for today is Proverbs 31, verse 8. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. So now, if you are new here or this is your first time catching me, my name is Ashley Sturgis. I am a daughter of the King. I am a certified life and relationship coach. I am also a wife, a mama of multiples. And listen, I'm here to serve as a miracle sign and wonder that you can go through mental health challenges and you can take authority over everything that the enemy has tried to throw at you. So you're looking at someone that has by the grace of God, survived multiple um, attempts to take my own life, multiple attempts to, self-medicate and numb. Someone that has gotten freedom around the areas of depression and anxiety. So you're not talking to someone that doesn't know what it means to be you, doesn't know what it feels like to, feel like you're drowning in your sorrows and you just turn to food or you turn to alcohol or you turn to, being a workaholic. You just turn to all of these things instead of turning to God. And so I wanted to encourage you and let you know that you are not alone. This is something that a lot of people can go through. Some people, they don't experience mental health crisis, and maybe sometimes they do, and they are not even able to recognize it. So the fact that you clicked on this video, the fact that you decided to watch me up until this point lets me know that you are ready for a change in your life. You're ready to elevate. And this message is for you today. Okay. And so let's dive right into it. So day 8 is all about speaking up with boldness. Now remember, the first 10 verses of Proverbs 31 is speaking to the son. The whole book of Proverbs 31 is actually speaking to her King Lemuel's mother. Okay. Um, and she is teaching him a prophecy about what it means to be a king. And then she's also teaching him, in which we'll get into on day 10, she's teaching him about the kind of woman a king it will be rewarded. Okay. And so the first 9 verses, I'm sorry, is all about the kind of man he needs to be. And sometimes I think we overemphasize what women need to be, as opposed to emphasizing what men need to be for that woman, because there is a such thing as um, the kind of man you are will draw a particular type of woman out of that woman. Okay. And so that's a conversation for another day. But it says open thy mouth. I'm sorry, open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. So open thy mouth for the dumb means people that can't speak up for themselves, people that don't have the type of mindset and the mentality that they need to be able to advocate for yourself. So right here, she's telling her son to speak up for others. God has given you a voice. God has given you authority to help others. And so influence isn't just about your presence, it's about purpose, right? So if God is entrusting you with purpose here, you have to also understand that your purpose is for someone else. Okay? Everything you go through in this life is not about you. Okay, so there's people's lives who depend on you becoming who God has called you to be. So today's verse is a call to use your voice on behalf of those who can't speak for themselves. Godly leadership always includes bold advocacy. You have to be willing to say, "Hey, no, this isn't right. This is something that each person needs." When it comes to mental health and wellness, you need someone that will see you and will say, "Hey, what's going on with you? How are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Okay. So I want to encourage you today to remember that this life that you're living, this life that you are leading, is not your own. It really isn't your own. You see, there's so many countries that are in war, and there's so many cities, even in America, that are struggling to even have clean water. And it takes other people like you and I to be in the type of mindset that says, you know what, I know I'm going through something that's very bad right now, but there's somebody else that is going through something greater than what I'm going through. And so we have to be willing to use our pain and turn it into purpose, to use our purpose to alleviate the pain for someone else. Okay? It's not easy being in this life. So imagine being in this life by yourself. We have to speak up for those that can't speak up for themselves. The Bible talks a lot about advocating, right? Someone had to advocate on your behalf, or someone has interceded on your behalf. And it's not by chance that you are here. A lot of us are here because of the prayers of our grandmothers, because of the service and the leadership of people that fought for us to have a level of freedom, whether it's um, um, rights for people that are minorities, rights for women, rights for children. Someone had to take a step and say, hey, no, this is wrong. And when we step up and we talk boldly about the things that otherwise people would consider, otherwise a group of people that people consider dumb, we would have a lot of people that would be mishandled. We already have it. So think about just children, advocating for children. They can't speak up for themselves. Advocating for senior citizens. They can't speak up for themselves. And so we as people, and especially as men, you all were commanded in this chapter of Proverbs 31 to speak up for those that cannot speak up for themselves. So point number one is silence isn't always safe. Sometimes when we don't speak up about certain issues, it is as if we are in agreement with it. Okay? It's as if we are in agreement with what is going into. And so we are going to step into influence, and why our mindset needs to be well and elevated so that our influence will be protected, so that what we do with that influence will be used for the glory of God. And you see, influence starts with your voice. It starts with you speaking back to the enemy and telling him, hey, no, we're not doing that over here. No, you're not about to riddle my mind with all of these negative thoughts. You're not about to continue to tell these children that they can't be all that God has called them to be. No, it, say something back. Okay. When you stay silent out of fear of judgment, out of fear of being different or going against the grain, or fear of the backlash, you allow injustices to win. So many people that will sit by and allow people to be mistreated, misappropriated, see something happening and will keep going because, you may be afraid of the consequence. But let me tell you something, that the greater consequence is having that on your conscience, having that on your mind. Some people, they feel like they sleep well at night without having to speak up. But the truth of the matter is, when we don't speak up about injustices, you better believe that injustice is going to be knocking at your door. And when it's your turn, you're going to be looking like, why is anybody coming to help me? The Bible even says that if we ignore the voices of the poor, don't expect nobody to come for you when it's your turn. Okay? So God raises up voices, not just observers. He doesn't raise up people that just are going to watch when it comes to advocacy, right? So that doesn't mean that you have to be a leader on the pulpit, or a leader in the courtrooms, or a leader on social media, things of that nature, but he will arise people's voices for intercession. Because praying for people is just as powerful as actually saying something, because you're not just saying something to other people, you're saying something to the powers that be in the realm of the spirit. Never doubt the power of intercession. Someone, or I at least hope somebody, is praying for me. And I be asking for it too, like Apostle Paul. He said, y'all pray for me as I pray for you, because we all need each other. In different times and spaces of our life, we all need someone to advocate for us and to speak up for us. And if we don't have that, you better believe life is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And so it leads me into point number two. Your voice can interrupt destruction. And so instead of just being called intercessors, I call you interrupters, because you're interrupting the plan of the enemy. You're interrupting an onslaught of mental health and anxiety attacks that may have been on someone's life when you choose to intercede for them. When the Lord drop, when you just have this thought out of nowhere, like, oh, I'm thinking about so and so, pray for them. Oh, I got this friend that was just talking to me, and I just felt like I should have prayed for. Pray for them. I ain't seen this person in a long time, and I just seen them at the stop sign. I just seen them at the stoplight. Pray for them. You see, when God puts someone on your heart, on your mind, a name just pops up, like, oh, God is doing that because he needs someone to interrupt their day. He needs someone to interrupt what the enemy is trying to do to those people. He's trying to get you to intercede so that the intended attack for the enemy is either delayed or destroyed, because sometimes, we can't intercede people out of disobedience. Okay. We can do our best to intercede and help that God gets through to them, but there are some cases where people have to make a decision. And so you can pray for them that they be strengthened so they can make the decision, but people also still have to make a decision. So don't feel like, oh, if I don't pray, then, their life is in danger. Yes, to a degree, but they still have to make a decision depending on what it is. And this is why it's so important to have the Holy Spirit and to know what what his will is for us. He will tell us what to pray strategically so that we are not interfering with the will of God. Because sometimes our intercession can turn into interference because we are not praying according to the will and the word of God. Well, how do I know what the will and the word of God is? You have to read the Bible. You have to stay in tune with the Holy Spirit. So what this is saying here in Proverbs 31:8 is, men, you are intercessors as well. They say that the women are considered the weaker vessel, which means you need to be covering your wife in prayer. You need to be uplifting your daughters and uplifting your mothers in prayer. This is kingship. True kingship says it's not just all about me. Though I'm reigning and I'm on my throne, I'm going to use my authority, which is in my voice, to help someone else, to advocate for someone else, for someone that may be considered as dumb in the context of, it could be mental capacity, emotional capacity. I've had to speak up for people several times that didn't know how to say, hey, when you said this bothered me. Hey, when you did this, I didn't like it. And because I'm a coach, one of the things that I truly, truly, truly love to embody in my coaching business is helping people learn how to advocate for themselves. And how do I do that? I advocate for them while we're in our coaching sessions. Like, no, why do you keep talking to yourself like that? Stop speaking to yourself bad and then thinking everybody else is not going to speak to you bad as well. Using my voice for the benefit of others. And so appointed to destruction equals someone else's story is falling apart. You see, when your voice interrupts destruction, someone else's story is contingent upon you making that interruption. Imagine you walking out into the street, and because someone saw you and they don't want to raise their voice and they don't want to yell, they'll say, a car is coming. I love the analogy the woman, the guy used. He said, but when you see somebody about to get hit with a bus, you say, get out the way. A car's coming. Or the bus is coming. That's how we should be using our voice to pull people back out of danger, to pull people out of the hands of the enemy. Be willing to interrupt. Use wisdom in your interruption. If the enemy says these people are appointed to destruction, I'm going to destroy their life, it is your responsibility as the Lord leads. If you have this type of intel, it's your responsibility to carry out the mission of interrupting the intended purposes of the enemy. Okay? And so your word of truth, prayer, or protection can shift their outcome. It can shift their outcome. And I thank God for the people that have prayed for me that helped me shift my outcome. I'm thankful for those that would advocate for me to help me shift my outcome by the grace of God. And so, point number 3, advocacy is kingdom work. You cannot say that you are a kingdom citizen, you're a follower of Jesus Christ, and you are not advocating. Come on. You think people just sign up philanthropy because it's cute? Now, a lot of people do. They think because it's, write off on their taxes and stuff like that. But it is still kingdom work. This is why you see a lot of wealthy people still being wealthy because they're still using the principles of speaking up for those that can't speak for themselves, taking care of the orphans, taking care of the widows. Those are all biblical principles that will keep you blessed. Look up Isaiah 58. Okay. So speaking up is a spiritual requirement. This is leadership in action. It's leadership in action. And so if you're not speaking up for the things that need to be spoken up for, I'm not saying you got to make a video on social media. I'm not saying you got to make a think piece. You got to, you could write letters to your government, to your government officials. You can write letters to your community leaders and tell about the issues that's going on. Like, hey, all the parks is drug infested. Can we get some police out here to clean it up? The children need to be able to go out and play and feel safe. You could be the one house on the block where all the children, if you're trusted with children, can come after school instead of them having to be left at home because their parents have to be at work. Speak up. Use your authority and influence for good. That is kingdom work. Whether it's a child, a client, a cause, or a friend, God needs to use your mouth as a tool of rescue, not as a tool of ruin. Allow God to use your mouth as a tool of rescue and not a tool of ruin. So I want to ask you, who are you being called to speak up for or stand with? That issue of children not being taken care of and not being loved, that is something God is putting on your heart. He's like, hey, tap you on the shoulder. The reason why you're so passionate about cancer patients is because I'm calling you to advocate for them. The reason why you're so passionate about veterans, I'm calling you to advocate for them. I'm so passionate about helping men because men over the years have realized there are more spaces for women to heal than there are for men. I recognized this when my father passed. He had so much that was on his heart, so much that he was dealing with, and it dealt with him and it took his mind first and the body followed. And so I want you to declare today, I will not be silent where I'm called to speak. So you can't get me to be quiet when it comes to advocating for men and the men getting what they need and being the kings that they need to be, calling a king out of them. You cannot get me to be quiet. When I lost my brother the year before my father passed, I realized how important, excuse me, y'all. I realized how important your mental health is. And so if we don't speak up for those that can't or don't know how to speak up for themselves, that's going to be blood on our hands. And so I want you to ask God, who am I needing to speak up for? Who have you called me to advocate for? Because I want to advocate for those that you have called me to. And so I know for me, it is men. Men's mental health is so important for me because I saw what it did to my father. I saw what it did to my brother first because he passed first. He passed by himself in the house. He was decaying for at least 3 days. By the time someone got to him, his nails were rotten. His brain fluid had come out of his head, and he was there, they said, at minimum 3 days, already dead. And because the last message that he sent us that broke my heart, it said, "Hey, y'all, can y'all pray for me? I'm not feeling well." Now, he should have told the truth, spoke up and told the truth, like, "Hey, y'all, like, not just I'm not feeling well, but like something feels off." But if you don't know, if the pins aren't connected in your mind to say, "Hey, something is off," when you are not in alignment, you aren't able to tell when you're misaligned because you've been out of alignment for so long. And so you can't tell when this is a common cold and when this is bacterial meningitis, a curable disease that took my brother's life. Not to mention my father. They told him he will be a vegetable. They say he's going to be a vegetable. He's not going to make it after this. He had flatlined, I think 2 or 3 times, was without oxygen to the brain for 45 minutes. They say he's not going to make it. And even if he does, he won't be able to speak, talk, walk, or do anything for himself. He'll be a vegetable. And that's no quality of life. And you know what I told that doctor? I said, what does he need to do to get better? Which I need him to do. And they was like, well, his that start needs to come back online. I said, okay, ma'am, thank you. You do what you need to do, and we're gonna do what we need to do. So we began to pray. And we called on all of our prayer warriors, all of prayer friends. We enlisted everybody to pray. He came back. He came back almost 100%. The only thing that didn't come back online was his kidneys. But what I also realized is your kidneys hold emotions. That's where your kidneys and I think your liver, it holds emotions. And so those were the last things that he had to do dialysis, and he did it for a while, but then he became really stubborn and bitter, resentful, all of these emotions because he's trying to figure out why he came back to life and was able to live an extra year after he had died the first time and had function of all of his limbs. He was able to walk, talk, he had memory loss, but that's normal. But considering how he was looking, he was nothing short of a miracle. But what took him out in my heart of heart is his mind. He couldn't let go of all of the things that he had done and all the things that he had suppressed. And that took him out. Because if you kill the head, the body will follow. So this is why the enemy is after your mind. He's not just after, oh, I'm just going to give her depression and anxiety. No, he's after your mind because he knows if I can't get her to physically take herself out, I'll get her to mentally take herself out. If I can't get him to mentally check out of his or physically check out of his family, I'll get him to mentally and emotionally check out of his family. The effect is still the same. You're now still an absent father, even though you come into the home every day. Go to parks, go do the games and all these other things. Your children will still lack because you are not mentally and emotionally present. So I want to call you all forward today and tell you to speak up. God has given you a voice, and wherever the enemy has muted your voice, whether it was through childhood trauma, SA, whether it was through loss, divorce, miscarriages, whatever the case, cancer, whatever has tried to rob your voice, I want you to ask the Lord today to help you restore your voice for the advocacy that you were called to. If you are enjoying these Elevate Your Mindset series, do me a favor, click like and subscribe. Drop in the comments what you're enjoying about it or what you're doing to activate. If you want to get the emails to learn more about the prompts and the prayers that we put inside of the email, just click the link in the description or the link in my bio so that you are able to connect with us on this 31-day Arise Mindset Challenge and look at the offers that we have on my website. Go to www.ashleyamsturgis.com and you'll be able to see everything that we offer and all of the events that we have coming up soon. I look forward to seeing you all on day 9. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye.